Good morning from Miami Beach. This is Dr. John Bennett for InternetMedicine.com. We are honored by the presence of the European Student Think Tank, headed by Christos, and I'll let Christos take over and coordinate things. Welcome, Christos.
Thank you, John, for hosting our webcasts. Today, we're going to speak about international friendship exchange programs and semesters. We have a great panel of speakers. And at this point, I will invite Elodie from European Student Think Tank, with whom I'm co-organizing this event, to introduce it.
Okay, so hello guys. I'm really happy that you're all here. Today we're having a webinar about international friendships, traveling, and exchange programs. And we thought, okay, we're all in the same situation right now. We are all in self-isolation. We are all very limited in our right to movement. And I think it's a hard situation for all of us. But we thought, okay, we want to speak about something completely else, the opposite, basically, of what we're experiencing right now. And so that's why we chose the topic we're having today. But we also thought that maybe it's interesting to know how these connections we made while traveling, while on exchange semesters, how these connections help us during this time right now. Yeah, so that those questions and those topics were what really was interesting to us, and that's why we thought that we will do the webinar about that. Yeah, I'm also from the European Student Think Tank, the campaign manager, and I think there's no more to say about that. So I will give back to Christos to introduce the first speaker. Christos, we don't hear you.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for being here today from my side as well. The first speaker will be Dr. Alina Smaranda. Alina is a sports medicine resident. As a student and as a resident, she is traveling a lot. She's actually a friend from an exchange medical students program, so what she has to say will be very interesting. Alina, the floor is yours.
First of all, happy to see you again. Frankly speaking, it is really difficult to find the exact words to describe the feelings that my best exchange gave to me. It's about an exchange during the faculty, and it was in Mexico, in Monterrey. During the summer. It's the place where I met Christos, and we are still keeping in touch after so many years. The reason I decided to tell you a little bit about this exchange is that that experience brought me where I am today and defined my further career as a doctor, my specialization, and I'm going to get there. So I really often at the faculty, people ask me about exchanges because I have several exchanges and volunteering program abroad, and I go to a lot of courses. So everybody is asking me, what do I think about it? And honestly, I encourage everyone to go and discover other cultures, to discover other people, because I think these travels gives us an insight of how other people think, gives us a different perspective about life, and nonetheless, and maybe the most important, we build strong relationships. So from my experience, the Mexico experience was finding a family. So going, not knowing anyone there, going by myself from Romania, traveling the ocean, going to Mexico. So even if I'm a really independent person, it was a really tough decision to take at that moment. And my parents were really concerned. But there, I found a family. And really, like when Christos asked me to talk about it, I got really emotional and I really cried a little bit, because staying every day with some people there and sharing so many things, letting yourself to be known by others, to have some moments of vulnerability, because staying every day with some people that you didn't know before, it's impossible to fake it. So you have to be your true self. And I think this is the moment when, I don't know, you feel a feeling of safe, a feeling of belonging, of you feel like a family. So this is. And what happened in Mexico was that in one day, I think in the first week of the exchange, somehow I dislocated my kneecap, and I had a really bad knee sprain. I had some ligaments torn. So at the beginning, I was like really depressed, like everybody. We went to the hospital, so everybody was really crazy. What is going to happen? I was like really sad because it was at the beginning, and I had one more month to stay there, so I wasn't able to do a lot of stuff. And that was a moment when at the first moment I said, well, I'm here, I'm alone, I don't know anybody. So after the first day, like, I don't know, after the first moment, everybody was taking care of me. And the most important thing, that everybody made the impossible to make me feel normal, because I had to stay in bed, I had to wear a knee brace. So it was really difficult. When I came back in Romania, I had to do rehabilitation. Finally, I got into a surgery. It didn't go so well. Again, rehabilitation. And that's why I chose sports medicine, because at the moment I was in Mexico, and if everybody was asking me what I'm going to do after I finish the med school, I was saying that I'm going to be an ophthalmologist. So that was like no question. I was 100% that this is what I'm going to pursue. But after that experience, the people that I met there were such the best family I've ever had, really. And they were so close to me, and they made me understand how important is for a person that is in need, a person that is sick, is injured, how important is staying near that person, encouraging it, helping it to feel normal. So now a lot of, I don't know, maybe a lot of orthopedic surgeons forget about this stuff. Like, they cut, they do their job, and then they forget. But it's so important, the mental health of the patient in the rehabilitation process. And that was the moment when I came back after Mexico, and I decided, okay, I'm going to do sports medicine. I'm going to take care of people. I'm going to try to prevent their injuries and try to make the rehabilitation easier. So it's really important. And as I said at the beginning, I encourage everyone, like doing faculty, to do exchanging, in the residency, later on to do fellowships and so on, because the people you may meet in these exchanges are amazing, and the relationship you build, like, are forever. For example, 2 weeks ago, some guy from South America called me because he wants to do a fellowship in Europe, and we haven't spoken, I think, in 2 or 3 years, and it was like we spoke yesterday. So the discussion went so naturally. So it was another moment when I realized that the friendships you made in these exchanges are really forever. And if anybody needs some help, we are always going to be there, one for each other. I had a lot of friends from abroad that I met in these travels. And when I need medical advice, I had patients that they needed surgery and we couldn't do it in Romania. So I asked them to help me in Italy, in Spain. So it's really important about the socializing part, about the networking part. So it's really amazing. So I truly believe that it's at least one lifetime thing to do. So that would be my perspective about the exchanges. If you have any comments to add, because unfortunately I have to leave, I think, in 5-10 minutes this webinar, because I have a lecture with my students at the faculty, so I have to prepare for that a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alina. Normally we will take questions in the end, but of course, given that you need to leave, if you have any questions, and Alina is very good at giving answers and unraveling aspects through these questions, feel free to do it now.
I would like to ask something. Tekla. Hi. Yeah, thank you for the introduction. My question would be, was it hard to adapt in the new environment? And like you said, it's unknown and you really don't know what to expect when you get when you travel to a new country. Was it like scary? And how were you feeling? And was it hard to adapt in this new situation?
Well, actually, the hardest part was traveling by plane, like, I don't know, 24 hours. Like, literally, that was the hardest part because I had some issues with the passport and I was like freaking out that they're not going to let me, because I had to go to United States and from there to Mexico. And I was like crazy because maybe they won't let me get inside the United States because of my passport. But that was the hardest part. Once I got there, even if I had my thoughts before that it's going to be a different culture, because we are, let's say, the Balkans and the Latin people, we are a little bit similar, like happy party people, drinking, speaking, laughing. So it's a little bit similar, but it's a total different country. It's a total different culture. So, but once I got there, like everybody was so happy, everybody was so lovable and huggable and full of free of good energy. And at the hospital, like everybody was so happy to share us so many information, because at the beginning we were supposed to have to be on a certain department, on a certain ward, but we could move from word to word to see different. Everybody was so happy, and I don't know, all the people there's such a great energy that was amazing. And I know that I spoke with my parents, I think the first day when I got there, and with my friends. And then I think after 1 week, because I was so absorbed about everything that was new, the food, the culture, the way like the houses were, because they are different, because of the weather is different from the Mediterranean houses in Europe. So everything was so different. I was so absorbed by everything. So it wasn't hard at all, really, because but that was because of the people. Like really, we were like, I think from everywhere, from Malaysia to South America, we were from everywhere.
That's nice, thank you.
Just notice that Alina, I also had the same issue with the passport. I got the ESTA certification for the US 2 hours before my flight. But I thought that I was the only person in this exchange with that kind of problems. Any other questions? Okay, so we will thank once more Alina for joining us today and providing us with her experience. And Elodie can introduce the next speaker.
Right, so the next speaker is Nieves. She's studying law and international relations in Madrid, in Spain. And she's also the vice president and the secretary of the European Student Think Tank. So yeah, we're really happy that she's here and she's sharing her experiences with us.
Hi everyone, can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm also really happy to be here sharing my experiences with all of you. I must say they're very similar to the ones of Dr. Miranda. I went on a university exchange to Canada, to Toronto, from September to December 2018. And I must say it was a really amazing experience. I have to say that, so for example, something that was very enriching for me was the different style of teaching. So in my university, I am very much used to having high participation in classes, to having a limited number of students and a lot of attention from the teachers. And there was kind of the opposite. It was huge halls with a lot of students, very little participation, and a lot of work. And personally, like, you know, outside of the classroom. And I thought it was amazing. I really liked it. The buildings were really big. I'm used to urban campus. So my campus is vertical, it's skyscrapers. And there in the University of Toronto, what you had is like an old-fashioned British style looking campus, which was wonderful, with a lot of common areas and all sorts of activities that you could partake in. And with regards to the people I met, I must say my experience is the same. I met the most amazing people from everywhere, both Canadians as well as other fellow internationals. And I traveled, I ate, because, for example, Canada has well, Toronto in particular has a huge Asian community, in particular Chinese. And I became friends with a Chinese girl, and we went eating to the most amazing restaurants. And yeah, it was definitely eye-opening. And another really maybe different thing that I might say is that I fell in love in Canada with a fellow student who was also in exchange. And we decided to keep our relationship long distance after that, and it's still going on until this moment. So obviously for me, my exchange has a lot of positive memories, and that's really all I wanted to tell all of you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Nevis. I think we will keep the questions to the end. So basically, I will give back to Christos to introduce the first speaker.
Thank you a lot, Nives. So now it's the time to introduce Kostas. Actually, there are no words to introduce Kostas. In normal life, he is studying computer science in Thessaly, Greece, but he is also the curator of a TEDx event. He has been involved in many international conferences, like the Bringing European Together Association Model European Union conferences. This is where I met him in Strasbourg in the edition of 2018. And he has traveled for studies and for business exchange everywhere from Ireland to the US and to the Canary Islands. So he has a lot of insights to give us today. Kostas, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Christos. It's a pleasure to be here, guys, and talk to you all about my experiences. It's quite a shame that we're talking about traveling and exchanges and all of these wonderful experiences in a moment of crisis such as this one. But I genuinely believe all of this is temporary, and soon we will be able to travel again and live again more and more wonderful experiences. I just a quick note. I just really wanted to say about that. In the European Union, we are very lucky. I could say that it's very easy to travel to other countries and live all of these amazing experiences. When I was trying to think about which one experience I should talk about, it was really hard because like I could talk about the Model European Union of Strasbourg, where I met Christos, for example, amazing experiences. Or I could talk that 1 month in the Canary Islands where I worked, but I decided to talk to you a bit about my Erasmus Exchange experience that was in Dublin, Ireland. So when it was time to go to Dublin for my Erasmus experience, I was very excited because I really wanted to see what it's like to study abroad and what it's like to study at one of the best universities in Europe, which is the University College of Dublin. And going there, I was immediately exposed to a lot of different nationalities all over the world, basically, and just living in dorms with students and basically living the student life that I wasn't so familiar with back here in Greece. It was an amazing 6 months, challenging in terms of the education system there. I really admired how the campus was laid out, how the campus, how there were so many student societies over there. Fun fact, more than 80 student societies were at the University College Dublin. So any student could do whatever, whatever he could think of in terms of activities. And also, me, myself, as Christos said, I study computer science, and at the same time, I try to see what are the business applications of computer science. So being at Dublin, which is basically the Silicon Docks, that's what it's called, of Europe, because a lot of startups and a lot of big companies like Google, Apple, Microsoft, and much more companies, they are all based in Dublin as well. So I had the amazing opportunity to be part of the Investors Entrepreneurs Society, which gave us the opportunity to travel to all these headquarters of these companies and just see what it's like to work there. And that was only one of the many activities and opportunities such experiences as an Erasmus can also give you. And truly going back in Greece again to continue my studies, that's where I saw how impactful it was. And to elaborate a bit more, I was able to see how those student societies work. By the way, Christos, if I go beyond time, you can tell me maybe 30 seconds before, so I can wrap it up quickly. Anyway, so yeah, I was able to concentrate on how those student societies work. And that gave me a good idea of how to bring that mindset back to my campus here in Larissa, Greece. As a result, a lot of good things came out as an outcome. For one thing was the digital systems support center, basically a student-to-student tutoring service where students can help each other in modules completely free and all that stuff. That idea was basically copy and pasted from Dublin to Larissa. And not only that, the Technology Entrepreneurship Society was also another thing where we invited a lot of speakers from the city inside our campus, so thus we can bridge the gap between the entrepreneurship ecosystem of our city and with the university. And of course, all of that experience of leading those teams led me to find and identify students and people that have the desire and have the volunteerism mentality to coordinate efforts to fulfill the first TEDx of our university, the TEDx UTH/. So just to wrap it all, I would say that it's amazing to me how just like an Erasmus experience, just going for a couple of months, like 6 months or something, going to another school and study, how it can bring impact to the university you are currently in. In the end, I would say the world is full of opportunities, guys. Just travel and grasp them and make something out of them. Believe me, there is definitely a lot of things that can result through such experiences. Yeah. And also, if you have any questions, of course, after we finish.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much, Costa. We will keep the questions for the end. Now, Elodie is going to introduce the next speaker.
Yeah, so the next speaker is Hande. She already took part in our last webinar, which was about the coronavirus and the situation for students. And she's from Turkey, and she's studying languages. And so I'm really excited to hear what she has to say.
First of all, bye-bye. And second, thank you for the invitation for the second time in this webinar series. It's really important for me to be here. And I don't know actually where to start, because as Costa said, I have a lot of opportunities that I've taken before, so I couldn't choose one. So At the end, I decided to talk about my EVS experience, which means the European Voluntary Service experience that I made in Greece. It was a long-term experience that takes like 1 month and 1 month to 10 months. And I chose a 10 months of project, and I stayed in Thessaloniki for this 10 months. And while I was there, I had a lot of opportunities from other countries as well, such as Sofia from Bulgaria. And it's actually opened the floor for me to attend to the Model European Union series. So it's also important for me. And I don't know actually where to start about all these experiences, but I can say like it fitted me both intellectually and both socially, because I never experienced living with a lot of people at the same place. So it was such a tough thing for me, because in the building that we were staying during this EVS periods, we were almost like 30 people in the same apartment, and all the floors were opened to each other. So you can enter wherever you want. And it was such a new thing for me. It was like really tough period for me, I can say. And so I learned how to live with other people from different backgrounds. That was one thing. And another thing was like, before going to this project, I was really curious about how the Greek people are living, how the Greek people are communicating to each other, because I had an existing interest in the Greek language. So it was really significant for me to change my life. So when I was there, I started learning Greek, and I started practicing the language with the locals. And I was going to the Kapani, to the open air markets every day to talk to the locals, the other people, because they were really interested in practicing the skills with younger people. So the mornings were perfect, I can say. And then I was taking some walks in the port of the city, which is also very relaxing. And that was something that I never find an opportunity in Istanbul, because where I come from is a crowded city. So it was not really usual to spend time for yourself, So that was something that was very positive about this project. And the other thing is that I had a lot of lifelong friends, I can say, from Italy, from Portugal, from other countries. That was really interesting, because I noticed like how we are similar actually with the other Southern and Mediterranean countries. And it was really funny to discover. And the other thing is that when I was in Thessaloniki, I had my first solo photography exhibition. That was actually a milestone for my whole career, because I didn't know where to start to doing photography as a professional manner. But with the support that I've taken from European Union and from my organization that I was working for, it was pretty easy and fast. So we immediately organized whole stuff, and we just opened up the exhibition. It was like, I don't know, I cannot describe this experience. It was really something that makes me happy. And the other thing is, of course, traveling, because as maybe some of you know, like we are not in the Schengen area normally, so we have to take the visa for each country in the European Union. So it became very easy for me to travel around the countries and around the other Greek islands and cities, which I was very curious about also. And I went several islands and several small towns, including Larissa, Kostas, and yeah, it was cool. It was cool. And I learned how to hitchhike. That was something that also changed my perspective, all my vision, especially hitchhiking in Greece is such a thing. And we went to Halkidiki in the summer period. It was another thing that is also a very positive side of the project. And what else? Like, also we had a lot of discussions with people. We had a lot of arguments and a lot of fights in the house, because everything was, getting messed up at the end. Like everyone is so intolerant, and, they cannot stand to stay in the same room, like it was, I don't know how to describe that. Anyway, so yeah, that was all. And I don't know what else to say. So if you want to ask something specific, I can answer. And I don't have any crush, unfortunately, Nieves. I'm very sad about that, and I'm very happy for you. So thank you.
Thank you, Neves. Sorry, thank you, Hande. I'm already confusing everything. yeah, so I think I will give back to Christos to introduce the very last speaker.
Thank you, Hande. So it's time to introduce Anna. Anna is a medical student in the University of Lisbon, and she is also one of the founding members of the Portuguese Students Association of Students of Medicine and Life Science in Space. So she has a lot of interesting insights to give us. Anna, the floor is yours.
Hello, so can you hear me and see me? Are you seeing the presentation? Okay, so thank you for having me here. So I'm Anna, I'm from Portugal, and I'm really honored to speak to you about my exchange experience. I have done several, and right now I should be doing one. I should be in the United Kingdom doing my internship and in gynecology and obstetrics. So because of the coronavirus, I am not. So I'm really sad about it, but I'm also really happy that we are finding new ways to keep in touch and to keep the world going on. So I'm going to talk about my Erasmus experience because it was really like the main one that I did because I went a whole year. So this is the most important for me. So some of you have already talked this a little bit, but I don't know if everyone that is here knows how to prepare an Erasmus. So I must say that I started preparing one a year before, and I did my whole fourth year of medical school there. So I did it in Italy, in Milan. And I received the European Union's grant that is really, it's not like necessary for you to have a grant to go, but it really helps a lot because in some cities like Milan and Paris and so on, the prices of housing and so on is really high. So I know that everyone that wants to do an Erasmus has the right to a grant if it's a minimum of 2 months. So this is really cool because in the time that we are living now, that everyone is like fighting for money within the European Union and also with other countries, we students have these opportunities that were granted for us by the European Union. So this is something we really have to protect. So I stayed at a residency from the university that I totally recommend because it's a lot cheaper than trying to find a single room in the cities. And also in Italy, there's like countless benefits for people that are young with a lot of discounts to go to the theater, to go to the movies. It's really great. I also had an amazing Erasmus Students Network. Like Erasmus Students Network is like students volunteering for another students and help them receive. And you don't need to have done an Erasmus to participate in this. Anyone can sign up to help Erasmus Students Network in the cities that they are on. I already participate in the Erasmus Student Network in Lisbon, and this is really great to make new friends and so on. So since I'm Portuguese, for me, like Italian was not a big deal because there's a lot of similarities, but also fake friends, but this is not a problem. I went with level B1 because it was like a university's requisite, but when I arrived to Milan, no one asked me about anything, any certificate, nothing. So I have here some photos of my experience. This is like just to show that when you do an exchange, yes, I went there to study and I did everything, but you also want to travel. And when I thought about Italy, the northern Italy, because it was really easy to move within another European countries. I went to Oktoberfest, as you see here, and here you have like a Finnish girl, a French girl, and a Brazilian guy, and all of them still are my friends. Like Erasmus Student Network in Italy organized a lot of trips. We went to Firenze, we went to Rome, where it was the cultural trip, because Italians and culture is like their thing. I also did a lot of like single trips, and this was really important for me, like the freedom. I went completely alone because I was a single student from my faculty that went to Milan because there only two to places for getting collocated there. And so I went alone. So I did a lot of traveling alone, like going to Venice in the Carnival, and going to this is Cinque Terre. It's like a place in Liguria, Italy. It's next to the sea. It's really, really beautiful. So my grades were tops. I never achieved grades so higher as the ones that I brought from Erasmus. So if you want to have good grades, for me, Erasmus was the best thing, because my media of courses, it went up. But my savings were never low, because I spent a lot of money. I spent all my grants, but it's really worth it, because I traveled and I lived things that I know I couldn't have done this in Portugal, because we don't have like this kind of investment in culture, and special for young people. So I also had the opportunity to see like Lana Del Rey and Arctic Monkeys, and this is really important, because these are not like the kind of artists and so on that came to Portugal. They sent to Germany and to Spain and to Italy, but in Portugal it's harder. But maybe at the summer festivals, but it's a lot expensive to see them. So, but this is the main thing that I would like to talk to you about, because when I was there, I also received a grant from my receiving institution, from the Università degli Studi di Milano, to study for 3 weeks at Garda's Lake, and Italian language and culture. This was all for foreign students. And here you have people from everywhere, like people from Guatemala, people from Brazil, people from Jordania, people from the United States of America, a lot of people from the Balkans countries. It was really like a melting point from cultures, and like the meal times, it was really hard, because we have like people that didn't eat pork, or people like are full vegetarians, or people that couldn't eat meat at Wednesdays and the Fridays. So the lady that was there, and they have like to make the meals for any one of us, she had a lot of work, because like everyone is like their special meal plan. And this is really like important to see how we are from everywhere in the world. We have a lot of religious beliefs, we have a lot of cultural differences, but you can make friends, and you can work together. And in a time like the coronavirus, that there was a lot of misinformation, a lot of things that we didn't know what's going on, and a lot of lack of communication between the countries. This is really important, because it's no matter where you come from, if you have like respect for one another, if you have like the sense of belonging for the country that you are in, and if you are open to other people's minds, we can really make some cool stuff and protect like the beauty. And Italy being a country of beauty and culture, we need to protect this kind of the world that our past gave us to the future, and to take this forward. So my last slide is like Quo Vadis. I think that everyone has known what this means, is where are you going? So we should take our memories, the tolerance that this gives us, to think about what kind of future that we want for us, and what we will do today that will determine us what we're going to be tomorrow. So this is everything I wanted to say, and I'm open to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. Very interesting and insightful presentation. And it must have been a really great time in Milan. I remember that one of the first things you told me when we met in ESA was about your Erasmus there. So the presentations for this webinar have finished, and we are now open to a discussion. If you have any question, you can ask them now. Otherwise, we have a question for you. Any questions?
I have a question again. Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, Christos and Elodie, for organizing this webinar. and of course for the speakers for participating in it. It was very interesting. Yeah, so I'm currently studying international business administration at Vienna's Business and Economic University. And in my studies, it is obligatory that I do an exchange semester. And my question would be, how was your decision-making process on a particular university? Was it hard? How did you decide? What was important in the decision-making? Yeah, that would be it. It's a question for all, I would say.
If you want, I can give you my point of view. So I study law and international relations, so it is social sciences as well. For me, it was two things. So firstly, I looked at rankings. What universities have the best options? Which ones do I think are going to really boost my CV a little bit? Because for us, that matters, I think. And I have seen that I chose the University of Toronto, which has a really good ranking. And that did affect the choice of choosing me for an internship above somebody else. So it was relevant. And then another kind of thought that I had, because I was between Toronto and Singapore, so really different, was like, what kind of weather do I want to have? What kind of, I don't know, everything. What do I want to see? What cultural experience do I want to go after? And that was what really made me decide for Toronto, Canada, over Singapore, because I wanted to have a living space that was bigger, and in Canada that was more affordable than in Singapore, which was really small. It was student residences, it was hot and really humid, and I was like, no, I really want to go to the cold and see snow, because here in Spain we don't have that. So that was my choice. But there's many ways
Did you
to
have
go about
someone? Yeah. Did you have someone who went there as well to call upon advice, or was it really a new experience for you?
My I didn't know anyone, but my university allows us to contact the people that have been there on the previous year.
Oh, okay.
And gives us the details. So before taking any decision, I really did talk to both the people from Singapore and the people from Toronto, and ask them what they did, what they thought of their classes. Was it easy? Did they get good grades? Did they not? That kind of stuff. And they were really helpful, actually. And I did help also students younger than me to take that decision. And I think it really is helpful. So if you can do that, I recommend it.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Christos, is it okay if I go for it and also answer to Tekla, right? Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, I would love to give you my insight for your question. I have noted a number of things here. Well, in my case, when it came to choosing the University College of Dublin, I actually said I put it as a goal before I even went into university. When I did my application for university, I tried to see which academic institutions have with which universities abroad synergies or collaborations on the basis of the Erasmus program. And so the University College of Dublin really, it was something that caught my interest, because it's in a country like Ireland, which is in the Eurozone. It's not like the UK, where you have another currency, for example. That it's not that important, but also it was one of the best universities, I thought, in terms of ranking as well. That university that I'm studying here today in Larissa has a collaboration with. Another factor was the fact that as I'm studying computer science, Dublin is the ideal place to be. Just as I said before, a lot of companies, a lot of opportunities. So in your case, you might want to keep in mind, according to your studies, you said international business administration, right? So try and see which city has the potentially the most opportunities. Because another thing I wanted to do is through that Erasmus semester, try and see if I can set the foundations for a master's degree in Dublin, or for maybe an internship in Dublin, or in general for further networking opportunities. So when choosing the academic institution where you want to fulfill your Erasmus semester, you might want to take it a step further and think in the future if that's also like a place you want to go. Also, you might want to consider, because of course it's an Erasmus, you have to travel. For me, it's absolutely obligatory that you have to travel. Try and see how easy it is to travel to other countries. So from Ireland, you can like hop on a Ryanair flight and just go with a 15 euro ticket to Edinburgh, which I went to. Other cities in the UK, you can also go to Belgium, for example. Just try and see how easy it is to travel at the same time. So yeah, all in all, I would say that those are some things that I can suggest to you to consider when you're trying to choose which university you want to do your Erasmus at.
Thank you very much.
Can I just say something, Christos? Okay, so yes, I totally agree what has been said. I also recommend you to talk with people that have been there. When you are thinking about a place, talk with people that already have been there. For my case, I was really indecisive between Italy and the Paris universities. Of course, I wanted the best universities that which my faculty had the deal. So this is like the northern universities in Italy and the Paris ones. But then I start talking with people from Paris, and they told me, no, like the teachers are really mean, and people were not getting good grades. They have to repeat exams when they come back to Portugal, and this was not like an option to me, because I was going a whole year. So I couldn't repeat the exams. I needed to have everything done there. So when you are thinking going to a place, think also about the kind of help that you are going to get from the faculty there. That's really important. If you have a faculty that is like a good network of receiving students, in Milan, that was simply great. I didn't have a single problem with like the plan of study and so on. This is all things that you really have to prepare very well to not have problems. Like you go there and you can't do like a discipline. That simply cannot happen, because that will ruin like your experience.
I can also
Thank you.
if you want. Is it okay? Okay. So hi. I think like you can take the whole issue as in two parts. Like first, it should be an Erasmus experience rather than an academic experience. That's the one thing. And the other thing is that if you want to study in another country other than yours, you should also consider like if you can find another opportunity to go there other than Erasmus. So for the Erasmus, you should check how are the faculty members. That's really important. Like if they're able to speak the language of yours, or if they're able to speak in English, that's a very huge case. Because one of my friends went to Greece to University of Athens, and now she told me that like the instructors are not talking in English, they speak in Greek, so she can't understand them. So that's a huge issue for her, and now she's trying to discover how she handled the exams. And another thing is that, of course, like as the other participants says, like traveling is a huge issue. Like if you're going for an Erasmus, you have to take the benefits from the cultural aspects of your exchange period. So you have to consider like where the flights are coming from, how you can travel to different countries, in what kind of seasons. That's another stuff. Like if you go to Denmark or Scandinavian countries, it's almost rainy and snowy and cold, and you may not find an opportunity to see the places that you want to desire. And the other thing is that I think what you should consider is, like, more than rankings, is the relationship between the instructors and the students. That's why the competitive universities such as like Harvard, Yale, and stuff like that, and all the other USA universities are so much competitive. So the students even can't find an opportunity to see the instructor, like to catch him or her or whatever, like to ask questions, and you know what I mean. And the other thing is that sometimes there are some moments that you really would like to reach to your family or your loved ones in your home country, and you have to be ready to, jump off a plane and to go there and to see them and come. Or if you have like any legal issues, you have to fix it in a place where the people can help you. That's really important. Like if you go to a rural area, for example, you may not find an opportunity to, reach the correct people to fix your problems. And that was something that I really had hard time of. And the other thing is that I think you should decide like what you really like to do. If you want to go to doctoral studies, you have to choose a place that can give you a reference. For example, you can make contacts and you can ask their references when you are applying to the master programs. And that's really important to have an intimate relationship with them, like in a personal manner. And as far as I understood, you need more than anything the network. So where you can do the network is in either in for example UK, because it's really very good for business administration kind of measures. Or you can just search for some online sources where you can chat with students. I think that's a pretty new feature for some of the universities, such as like Central University. You can chat with the students that are currently enrolled in the schools, and you can ask their opinions. Yeah, that's all from me. Like if you have any specific question, you can ask me.
Thank you. That was so helpful. And you have a beautiful view there. I was just admiring your view. Thank you.
Well, if I may say on this topic, I totally agree with the previous speakers because they covered all the aspects. I haven't been in an Erasmus study semester yet. I filled my applications 2 months ago, and I'm waiting for the result these days. So from this experience, I can suggest you that you check all the bureaucracy and all the papers and certificates that you need for your application, because this can take a lot of time, and this is definitely not something not to do at the last minute. And of course, speak with people that have been there before, because good rankings, traveling opportunities are very important, but you need to make sure that this semester will help you advance in your studies, get good marks, and not get retarded in your degree. You wouldn't like something like that. For example, next year, hopefully, I will be in Erasmus in my last semester, and I don't want my degree to get late because of this. So always keep in mind, and also search beforehand for housing there. What of the options, like a student residency, a shared apartment, how much does it cost? Is it easy to find something like that at the period you are going? So keep this in mind as well. And I think that now we also have one question for you. Elodie, would you like to ask this question?
Yeah. So the question we had for you, we asked you to not really talk about the coronavirus that much in your presentation. And the reason for that was because we thought that's the best question we can ask you in a discussion. So right now we're all in the same situation. I think we're all not really happy about being quite isolated and quite, limited in our rights to movement. But in which ways would you say did the experiences you had abroad help you with the situation you're in right now? So are there any ways you would say that those connections you made are really helpful right now, or really just cheering you up? Or are there memories that really keep you going, where you're saying, okay, so I have goals for the future because I really like the way it was 2 years ago and that place, and I'm looking forward to repeating that in some way. So yeah, that's our question.
So I can answer?
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Go for it, Anna.
So, it's really hard for me for the coronavirus because the man that I love is in Italy. So this is really hard. This is really hard because all you have now is like your memories, and any other idea of making I should be in the United Kingdom. So I was really sad when it got cancelled, but what really helped me like to cope with this was the idea I already had this opportunity. I already did something. I lived things that were like, I'm so privileged. I'm so privileged because I live things that the vast majority of the people can't live. And I really try like to stay connected with my friends because I have a lot of friends and are in different countries, and we are all in this together. It's I can talk to them every day, and they are okay. Some others have already loved ones that died, and there's like a deep sense of connection that didn't happen until now, because we are all in our lives, all very, very occupied, all very busy. So now it's really like connecting again, and connecting also to the things that I loved and I love about Italy. I have more time like to dedicate to, oh, I remember that time when I was in Florence and I saw that painting and I never studied it, and now I can study it. I can spend like all day studying medicine and at night going to see some online courses and so on. So you have our memories, and that's, I think that's also what in the everyday life, not only during the quarantine, what helps us going through the dark times.
Well, for me, it's very similar to what Anna said. I think exchange actually allowed me to practically get the gist of what it is to be alone. So practically, I was living far away from my family, obviously, and my closest friends from university. So it did teach me to relativize things and to be like, I'm here and they're there, but we're both fine and we're both okay. Now with coronavirus, it's kind of like the opposite. I'm with my family, and my friends from university are away, they're in their homes, but I know that they're fine, and I know there's like Skype, Zoom, and so many other websites where I can keep up with them every day, and that's great. And then also, well, as I mentioned before, my long distance relationship has really taught me how to relativize distance, and now I think that's a good experience to have, and it helps the coronavirus confinement, which in Spain is really strict, to be lighter and to be happier. And of course, the memories that you mentioned and going through pictures and trying to keep in contact through internet with other people, that helps a lot. That's it.
I would also like to provide my input with regards to this question. Well, it's actually a very good one, I would say, because me personally, yeah, like I won't say anything different compared to what the previous people said. Of course, it's a very hard because you don't have that communication, that physical communication with your friends. You don't have that physical communication with people you work with, and that, especially in the beginning, took quite like some adaptation from all of us, basically, like the whole world, to like switch from the physical interaction to an interaction through the internet. But then again, I believe that it is an opportunity from some standpoints. Personally, the lockdown in Greece happened exactly after the TEDx, which it was like, again, we were very lucky that we were able to fulfill the conference. And then again, like the next day after the TEDx, all conferences were canceled across the country. So you can imagine like you can imagine all the stress that we had leading to the day of the conference. And I had a great opportunity to just like rest, which is something that I really needed. So I took some rest. Of course, I think it's a good time to rest, and no one can say anything about that. So you could see it as an opportunity to rest, to do some self-reflection, to maybe do some reassessments with regards to your goals and your future ambitions and all that. But at the same time, it's a great opportunity to connect with people and friends you had and made across the world, right? Through the Erasmus experiences or simulations and stuff like that. For example, I caught up with friends I made at the simulations because now we do have the time to have a chat, you know. If it wasn't for this situation, maybe like we wouldn't have ever tried to find the time to catch up. Also, it's way easier to just spread the knowledge about anything. It's way easier to attend conferences through your laptop, conferences that you would usually pay a fee to attend. Now these conferences are free, and they just say like suggested donation $50, $30, whatever. So you have better access to knowledge now, I believe, or not better access, but more in terms of quantity, right? So, and again, organizing webinars such as this one, they can happen more often. It's more easy to organize them, and of course, more consistently. And for me personally, it has been an opportunity to network with people and say, hey, I got this idea, maybe you want to do a webinar about that, or hey mate, how's it going? It's been months since last time we talked. What do you think about this? You want to do a webinar about that? You know, like that kind of stuff. So yeah, like again, I believe there are opportunities in every single situation. And as a last note, I would really like to say, through my standpoint, what I have observed the last couple of weeks, and especially like in my city in Larissa, and of course in Greece in general. And I suggest it's the same across all European countries or all countries across the world. But what I've seen is that there is a huge collaboration among many fields of professionals. There are a lot of initiatives out there that are looking forward to finding solutions and inventing solutions to combat the coronavirus situation. And it's great to see that cross-field collaboration with all these people that like you don't know, but again, they are all on the same mission, and they have the same objective to just find solutions for this problem we're all dealing with, so we can go back to how our lives were as soon as possible. So yeah, opportunities. I would say that's the word. Yeah.
And so from my point of view, like it has a lot of benefits, but it also has a huge contribution to our works as freelancers and as students, let's say. Because I was, for example, like translating in a company and also supporting some firms by remote working. So it was really a good opportunity for me to keep up my works in a you know, like in the same period. And apart from that, like after my experience, like EVS experience, I launched a magazine, an online magazine, to strengthen the ties between Greece and Turkey. So I was publishing some news about Balkan countries and how they are, you know, handling the situations and the current updates and stuff like that. So I started to collecting some interviews with people from Italy, from other Balkan countries, to learn and inform, you know, people about the whole COVID situation. So that was something that really felt useful for the future of the magazine. And apart from that, like these kind of webinars, like really save time. let's say, because I spend like more than 2 hours every day to go to school, and it's really ruined my day. And at the end, I was feeling very tired and, you know, feeling like I cannot do anything more during the day. And now I can just jump off to my classes and to the online courses that I've taken from different places, and I can, you know, adaptate myself into my, you know, family life as well. And in this period, I actually feel like I try to push myself, you know, to put myself in another person's shoe, let's say. For example, like when I'm talking to my friends in Italy, I can really feel like they have a different state of mind compared to mine, because I feel more relaxed than them mostly. And also from Spain and Portugal, like they are also saying the same stuff. And it's really important to, you know, think in their way, in how they, you know, think, let's say. And another thing is that after like a lot of exchange projects and stuff like that, at some point you lose your contact and you start not talking to your, you know, very loved friends. And this kind of stuff, like the global stuff, gives you the opportunity to, you know, connect them again and to, you know, ask them actually how they are. And that really, you know, reminds you of something that you actually forget during the whole everyday life routine. And the other thing is that I actually remember how valuable it is to travel, and how valuable it is to, you know, go to the places that you like to hang out, and go to the places just to even have a coffee. That's really a thing that I miss. And I really miss hanging out in the pubs and bars. You know, that's also something that relaxes my mind normally. And lastly, like I think these kind of situations are, you know, repeating itself in all centuries, and it should be all reminded that like this, we are not the only people that having such situations, and we are not the only people that face with such global kind of sicknesses or pandemics. So there are some good moments that we will see in the future. So we should actually keep ourselves like in a positive situation. That's all.
Great. Actually, I would say that I agree with all of you. And given that a pandemic is an event that's happening once in a century, we have the chance, we are probably the more privileged generation, because we can still communicate and have access to a lot of information. I can't say that the information we have access to is accurate, because there is an infodemic of fake news as well. But it's like we have more capacities in our hands than the people in previous pandemics. And we can also be here all today and talk about this. But the same question goes not only for the panelists, it goes for the people who didn't speak today. So all of you who are here, and I'm pretty sure that you have a lot to say, are welcome to have your say about this.
Can I also speak?
Of course you can, of course.
Okay, but I have a lot to say. I'm just warning you about this. You know that better than everyone, I think. Okay, I'm opening the camera so you can also see me. Okay. Hey there. It's nice to see you. First of all, let me introduce myself. I am Theodora, and I'm a medical student from Greece. I study in Larissa, and I was also a TEDx Speakers Manager at the same TEDx event as Kostas. Actually, Kostas was my supervisor. And I have also been a buddy in the Erasmus Student Network. And I have also been a local exchange officer in the same exchange program that Dr. Smaranda and Christos went. I was a local exchange officer in my town, Larissa. So I just wanted to share my point of view from the point of the national level, like that you don't have to go to another country in order to experience that sort of thing. Of course, you're getting a lot of experiences, but if you want to have this social networking to meet new people, you can also do it from your home, because a lot of people are concerned about the finances. Maybe they cannot find like the money to go on an exchange. but you can very easily do that from your own hometown, from your own university. And this was also like a really rewarding experience. I got to meet a lot of people from different countries. I have also been to exchanges, like I have been in the same exchange program in Morocco and France, and I will talk about this later. But I just wanted to mention that it's really easy to do that from your own place. And it's something amazing that you can try. Now, as far as concerning my exchanges that I have been to Morocco and France, were actually like really determining experiences, both for my future decisions as well as for the things that I'm doing during the lockdown. For example, my first exchange in Morocco got me my first decision, which was to do my specialty in a French-talking country. Because of that, I started studying more French terminology in my university, in more medical terminology. So I met a girl from France. So I borrow French terminology. This is like the national material that medical students study in France. So I'm also studying the same things to give exams and get accepted for a specialty in France. So that keeps me busy for most of the time during the lockdown. Another thing that keeps me busy, it's after my exchange in Morocco, I have got to meet a lot of people who speak in Arab language, and also when I was a local exchange officer, I met a lot of people who were talking in Arabic. I've met people from Egypt, from Tunisia, from Iraq, from Kurdistan, and it was a really awesome experience. And I got to see it was a really strange and difficult language, so I got to really curious to see to understand the alphabet, if you have ever seen the alphabet and the way that they are writing. So another thing that kept me busy is actually starting to learn Arabic. So as you can see, this is of my Arabic class. Another thing that keeps me busy during my lockdown, and I'm really thankful for those things. I'm a person who really likes to learn, so that's something awesome.
Christos, are you there, Christos?
Yes, just a small technical problem.
Okay.
Thank you, Theodora. Theodora also has an extensive background in exchanges and international friendship. And when I met her in the TEDx event, we almost spent the whole day speaking about that. Other people who would like to speak about this, I know that many of you here have this kind of experience. Lola, for example.
Yes, hi. Like I missed the question. What about talk about what?
The question is how international friendship and all these things we talked about help you during the coronavirus pandemic lockdown situation.
Oh, yeah, my friends like you, Prajaya, you're invite me in some webinars. So it's really help. I can entertain myself, take some new things, and new knowledge. Also, I can share my knowledge. It's really helpful, and we can still work in by online. So it's really good, and I'm really happy about it. So.
You are also giving lectures to students online.
Yeah,
Aparajaya, would you like to say something as well?
Christos, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I'm very happy to know that everybody's spirit is still moving. We may be physically distanced, but we are not socially distanced. Zoom has proved that. I'm also very happy with all the speeches that I heard today. It was very motivating. I want to thank Christos for arranging this meet. As usual, anything he arranges is absolutely helpful for all of us. And that's all I would like to add for now. I'm sure all of you have a lot of work to do, but thank you so much for coming and telling us about your perspectives, and to also remind me that everybody around the world is facing the same problem, but the human spirit pushes forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Parajagia. Anybody else who would like to speak? Or any other question or comment that you may have?
You have to unmute. Unmute. Nevis, unmute, please. Oh, okay.
No, I'm fine. I don't want to ask anything.
Oh, okay. I wasn't trying to force you to say anything.
I would like to add something somewhat irrelevant, but at the same time relevant. I don't know. But like providing how like the whole world now works through the web, basically, and providing all of the opportunities that exist right now. I do recommend a lot of you guys to try and look for virtual internships. Yeah, a lot of companies now, big ones, they do give the opportunity for candidates to do a virtual internship through their from their home. So like again, the world doesn't stop working, it continues to operate, like but mainly through the internet. So again, I don't think this is like a time to stop doing things. This is a time to pick up speed. That's what I think. And just there are a lot of opportunities out there. Some of them which is virtual internships. Maybe you would like guys to take a look at that.
Very useful, this particular one. Okay. If there are not any other comments, I would like to thank you for joining this meeting. Both all of you, the speakers, for giving your time and your insights. And of course, all of you who also joined us in order to listen, but also contributed with your viewpoints. We are thinking to continue this series of webcasts on the coronavirus pandemic with some positive action, giving a multifocal perspective on various issues such as mental health or climate change. So you're all welcome to join the next ones as well. We will announce them soon. Elodie, would you like to say something as well as conclusion?
Yeah, maybe just to tell you all that, yeah, I'm really grateful that you took part in this webinar. And for me personally, it was really inspiring. And I also learned a lot because I did some exchange internships or some internships abroad, but I didn't really go on a exchange semester yet. So that was really interesting. And I just think that it's really inspiring to see that we're all dealing with the same things basically, but that all of you are really inspiring and motivated people, and that's motivating for me too. So I hope you had the same feeling. And concerning our next webinars, so we really want to have one webinar every 1 or 2 weeks, and our ideas would be to have it about climate change, about maybe intergenerational justice. So basically how different generations cope with healthcare, but also with pension systems and with the current situation. So that was one idea, or maybe about other topics. So if you have any suggestions, please write them down in the comments here or in the WhatsApp group. And if you want to be part of another webinar, if you think, okay, I have a lot of experience in environmental law or environmental, I don't know what, then just write us. And yeah, we would love for you to be part of that. So thanks you.
And of course, thanks once more to John Bennett from Internet Medicine, who is hosting all our initiatives and giving us his support.
Well, I'm surprised we didn't have any major technological snafus today. And thank you very much for all coming, and I look forward to televising your next event.
Okay,
Thank
thank you
you.
all. Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good evening.
Bye,
Bye.
guys. Pleasure, pleasure. Bye.